What's this in Australia? They're going cashless.
Well, concerns are growing for senior citizens with more and more banks going cashless. Yes, banks going cashless. Over-the-counter transactions are no longer available at some Commonwealth Bank branches, with cash only available through ATMs. For more, we're joined by the Chief Operating Officer of National Seniors Australia, Chris Grice. Thanks so much.
What could go wrong? I mean, it's not like we have recent history of the truckers' protests in Canada to show us how invaluable it is to have hard cash.
So there's a trade in gasoline now.
So now,
Full Mad Max time.
so now the government can just tell the bank to shut off your bank account, and you can't drive, you can't fill your car with gas, you can't travel, you can't pay your bills, you can't even pay your electricity, you can't pay your internet access. You're a non-person.
Well,
this is turning people in. This is how they start to turn you into a non-person. I think that was in a book I had to read in high school.
this sounds very China of them, doesn't it?
Sounds very China of them. So now she's gonna bring on this guy from the bank. See what he has to say.
Time, Chris.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you.
Not everyone's happy about this. I mean, a cashless trend. What's going on?
Well, we're not only sort of seeing cash being sort of, I guess, removed from the economy, but we're seeing obviously a deliberate play to transition everybody over to digital transactions. 2030, they're removing cheques from circulation. So there's a big shift to getting people off cash.
They're taking checks out of circulation. Checks.
Boy, 2030. I hear that year come up again and again. It sounds like a lot of great times are coming.
Oh man.
2030. And by then, the sun should be dimmer.
It should be dimmer, thanks to Bill Gates. This guy is actually he's a spokesperson for senior organization, and seniors are against this.
Big shift, also a big adjustment for those it most impacts, including seniors and regional communities.
Indeed, and the feedback that we're getting is that it's not as easy as just tap and go and away you go. It's sort of like some of these regional communities in particular have challenges around internet access, and so even if you're
So let's say your electricity goes out. Let's say there's a power outage. Let's say there's a hurricane. Let's say there's whatever, and you don't have power for a couple of days or a week or a month. Now you don't have cash. Now you can't get any money to go buy anything because you can't get your money's all electronic.
Should I have been buying gold this whole time?
I think we should all buy gold.
Did I miss out on buying gold?
I think I'm going to build a bunker.
a nomad travelling the length and breadth of the country. If you're going to inland Australia and you're wanting to pay for fuel, well, you've got to have cash with you.
If banks do continue down this path, I mean, what does it mean for seniors? What can they do to cope? It's their cash after all. How can they get it?
Yeah, well, and also to get cash.
And so, like, they'll go to banks, and the banks are like, no, we don't give out cash. And so they only have a handful of banks that are still do cash now. And you're a senior, you got to figure out where that bank is. You got to get yourself there. It's not good.
They've got to pay for it as well. We're seeing more and more transaction fees being added onto their accounts if they want to access cash, in particular through ATMs that aren't necessarily provided by the big banks. And I guess there's a lot of work that needs to happen in terms of educating and informing senior Australians in terms of being able to operate with, using their smartphones and these apps. And there's even risks around that. I mean, the organisation you're talking about that's sort of making this change, they had an outage on their app, which basically lasted a day. So folk who were using the app, it indicated zero balance, no money in their account, and they weren't able to access their money for an entire day, basically.
Oh my
and
God.
so that forced people back into the branches and long queues to just get access to what's their money.
Yeah, it's a brave new world with a few glitches along the way, Chris. Thanks so much for
it's a brave new world with a few glitches along the way. But I'm sure everything will work out because I'm in the establishment.
Wow.
The establishment will protect me.
I bet those old people are happy they disarmed back in the day.
So the bank says this: Commonwealth Bank has created a very small number of specialist centers in major metropolitan areas, which are designed. But what if you live in a suburb? What if you live
in the outback?
What if you live in the outback? What then? What if you're an old geezer? Which are designed to support personal and business customers with more. So there's only a handful of banks in major cities, and that's that.
A few glitches.
Breezy. I'm going to go read that Brave New World, see what it's about.
Australia during the pandemic seemed to have some real dystopian things. And I talked to friends there, and they did not have the feelings of fear and repulsion to that I would have. They're like, well, and it took me a minute to understand that, like, that's not crazy to them. But you know what a big part of the reason is? They paid their salaries while they're locked down. See, America.
Oh, we did it. They did there.
Right. If you want to have a nice fascist state, this is what's beautiful about America, even with all the psychopathic
gun owners
things. Mm-hmm. They're never going to make you trust the government enough with a big enough tit to ever make that okay. In Australia, they locked them down and paid their salaries. So like, well, what? The government's not against us like that. Here in America, the government's clearly been against you. That's kind of the whole appeal of America. Like, the F you from your government. That's why people move here from all around the world.
And Americans don't know that other countries had their salaries paid. They don't know that.
That's why they're so compliant over there with a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So luckily they've
why do you think they didn't do that here? Because
the beauty
of the greed. They knew they could get away with it, right?
Yeah, like we want, like who do we have to? Their government base has to bribe them a little bit. Who do you have to bribe to take control? And so we had to bribe them. They're never going to bribe us enough to take the control they want. They're not.
Hi everybody, I have some great news for you. Guess what? You did the tough thing during COVID. You paid your people. So if you own a business and you didn't fire anybody during COVID, the government will give you money. Did you know this? It's just true. And it's the people at covidtaxrelief.org. That's what it's all about. So you could qualify for up to $26,000 per employee through covidtaxrelief.org. This is real. Government funds are available to reward companies with 2 or more employees who stayed open during COVID. This is not a loan, and you don't have to pay it back. The program is complicated, but nobody knows more about how to get you your dough than covidtaxrelief.org. You pay nothing up front, they do all the work, and share a percentage of the cash that they get you. Businesses of all types, including nonprofits, churches, can qualify, including those who took PPP loans, even if you had increase in sales. This sounds crazy. This is how you know corporations run the government. They're not doing anything to help workers. I guess they're saying if you kept your people employed. So I guess you did tough thing for your employees during COVID. Let covidtaxrelief.org help you get up to $26,000 per employee. This is really, I would take advantage of this. Visit covidtaxrelief.org. That's covidtaxrelief.org. That's covidtaxrelief.org. So there's no promo Jimmy or anything? You have to select
drop
it.
Screen Jimmy.
And then do the drop screen Jimmy. Okay, go get your 26-karat grande. Come see our live shows. We're going to be in Chicago, Rosemont, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Toronto, Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.